Do you remember the piece of Maurizio Cattelan that was sold for $120,000? The banana that was duct taped to a wall? Did you know that Maurizio Cattelan, the artist, was often seen as a joker or a prankster in the art world because of his satirical approach to art? Meaning, some people thought he was just BS. And I think still some people think it's right. Cattelan's first artwork was noted in 1989, and it took 10 years before he got his first exposition during the Caribbean Biennale in 1999. We can say his fame started to take off that same year with exhibitions at the Kunsthalle in Basel, Switzerland, and the Museum of Modern Art in New York. It was in 1999, that's 10 years. Then I'll talk about Jeff Bezos, the founder of, the well-known Amazon. So there's also this picture of Jeff Bezos sitting at his desk in 1994 with Amazon like graffiti painted on the wall, and that picture was not an artwork. But what's the link between Maurizio and Jeff Bezos? Well, in their beginnings, neither Maurizio Cattelan, Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and myself were taken seriously about our goals and projects. Jack Ma was even refused 30 times applying for a job. Nobody believed in Jeff Bezos giving up his high-paid Wall Street job. The thing is, most of us hear only about the successes. The $120,000 paid for a banana duct taped on a wall, the trillion valuations of a company, that's what we hear. But what is more interesting for me is to know how we move from the beginning to the end. What happens in that black box in the middle? Does some science exist, a set of rules we can implement to make our idea successful? So how do we move from the beginning to the end? Let's go back to the art world. If Maurizio Cattelan had created a banana duct tape as his first piece of art, he probably would not have been successful and certainly not been sold for $120,000. His first piece of art was a self-portrait. Jeff Bezos didn't start with Prime subscriptions. He didn't start with his fleet of airplanes or buying Whole Foods. He began with books and books only. Myself, I was born before personal computers and mobile phones existed. I was supposed to run a construction distribution company. Maurizio Cattelan didn't have an art education. He educated himself. He was reading art catalogs to understand how it all worked. He learned from taking actions and making shows. Art shows. He was picked up by local art galleries, had friends and connections who bought his art. Next, Cattelan got group shows, received critics in art magazines, got bought by collectors and ended up on solo shows, biennales, and finally acquired by museums. For the art world, the ultimate proof for the value of your work and the moment the public start knowing the artist. Cattelan's banana was sold for $120,000 because he got the approval along the way from friends, collectors, and finally museums. I call it the pot. Jeff Bezos, once he got success with books, he added related products. Every time Jeff Bezos focused on the next move that is related to his current success to grow bigger and bigger until his company passed the 1 trillion valuation. Today, Jeff Bezos with Amazon is one of the most valued people in the world because he got approval along the way from customers, local businesses, big brands, and investors. I call it the pot. Myself, I just had a horrible ending of one of my ventures. We lost 1 million. Let's say I needed to start from zero. I love art. How can I build my collection if I have no money? That doesn't mean art has to be expensive, but that's for another podcast. I had to change the way I was building startups. My new business will be a success. I was ready to change. I started with local friends owning a local business. Went to the local stores which I didn't have a close relationship, building up the ranks, until we got deals with Ted Baker, Montblanc, Nike, and even Amazon. The same happened with investors. You can't have investment from banks if you haven't got approval along the way. I followed the same scheme, and we raised in total 1 million again. We are now talking on the level of banks. When I saw the news that a banana duct tape on a wall was sold for $120,000, I was smiling and remembering myself that I understood the secret. I don't need to be distracted by the fake rules. I need to stay focused on the actual rules of the game to reach my success. Yet less attractive for the outside world for the moment, because we're not that cool, we're just working and growing. Do you have a project in mind, art or business? Are you willing to play the game behind closed doors, to follow the path? If yes, you have a big chance you will succeed. 3 points to remember. Don't look at the current successes, but learn from their path. Stay laser focused on taking step-by-step actions and get the approval along the way. An overnight success often takes 10 years. Tell me your story, your path in the comments below. And I hope you subscribe to get more stories about startup world and the business world.